Here's a longer piece from Tua, who understandably addressed the elephant in the room from the get-go when he showed up to talk to reporters on Wednesday. Here he is.
As a leader of this team, of the Miami Dolphins, the comments that had been said, I would say I've made a mistake, and I'm owning up to that right now. I've talked to guys on the team about it, talked to the leaders about it, and that they know my heart. They know that the intent was right, but no matter the intent, the intent can be right, but when things get misconstrued or however the media wants to portray it, that leaves a void of silence and a lot of questions for the guys on our team. Now, being 1-5, we talk a lot about, all right, we got to get this going. We got to get this going. Come in excited to go to work. Forget about the noise. And I feel like I just added onto that for our guys.
I like it when guys speak from the heart and they're not reading off of notes, when it's something that they should know without resorting to whatever talking points have been reduced to a 3x5 card. I didn't love all of that, though. This is probably the fifth time I've heard it. He talks about what his intent was. What was his intent? What was his goal? What was he trying to prove by airing out dirty laundry about guys not doing the little things, like showing up late or not at all for player-only meetings? What was the intent there? Was there a plan? And what was it, instead of going to the guys after the game in the locker room and saying, hey, insert player name, this is why we need to be on time for our meetings. This is why we need to show up for things. This is why we need to pay attention to the little things. Because all it takes is one little thing to turn a victory into a loss. Remember, they came back down 26-13 to the Chargers. They came back, took the lead, and then blew it. Little things. So what was the intent? And then you saw what he did. And I understand that the media is a very convenient target nowadays. Anytime you don't want to point thumbs at yourself, you can point fingers at those of us who are presumably here only to disrupt and pursue selfish agendas and, do anything other than, number one, get to the truth. Number two, share it with the audience in an informative and hopefully mildly entertaining way. He started down that path, but he abandoned ship because I didn't understand what he was talking about when the media is going to do whatever they're going to do. Look, you did it yourself, Tua. You did it to yourself. And you knew or should have known that when you get up there at the podium after a loss and say what you said, it is going to spark an all-week conversation about why you did it and what the impact of it was. On Monday, Coach Mike McDaniel, 4 other players, right out of the gates, asked about Tua. What's he done? Has he apologized? What's the damage, if any, moving forward? And one of the core questions that has been asked of some players, it's about the whole player-led film study. And one of the players who spoke on Monday started down that rabbit hole of, and I think this was Rasul Douglas, who's only been there for a couple of months. Don't hold me to that, but I think it was him. One of the 4 players who spoke, Aaron Brewer, Patrick Paul, Zach Sealer, and Rasul Douglas, after Mike McDaniel spoke, the player acknowledged that the coaches kind of don't really want us to watch film on our own. It's like the students in a classroom taking the textbook and trying to make sense of it without guidance. The players don't necessarily know what they're looking for, and they don't know how to take what they see and turn it into coaching points. That's why they have coaches, to show them, here's what you did. This is what you need to do differently the next time. This is why this play didn't work. This is why we have this concept. See, when you do that, it does this, and we don't want this to happen, so don't do that. So there's this overriding notion of the players kind of taking it on themselves to supplement whatever coaching they're receiving, maybe unbeknownst to the coaches. And is that making things better? Is it jumbling the message from the coaches? I don't know, but that hasn't really been explored. And when Tua was asked that question yesterday, and I think that's a fair question, he threw up the wall of, we're keeping everything in-house. Rule number one, protect the team. Well, I don't know that it hurts the team at this point. The cat's out of the bag. We're just chasing the cat around. We're trying to understand what these player-only meetings are. And if they're intended to watch film, tell us more. Help us understand. That's all it was. Nobody was trying to play gotcha.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.